Welcome back to the Market Chronicles, the show that helps you cut through the noise and understand what's really going on in the markets.
Yep, we're back.
I'm your host, and in episode 4, we're diving headfirst into the world of Bitcoin.
If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're going deep on this one.
Bitcoin has been making headlines, sparking debates, maybe even keeping some of you up at night wondering what's next.
Absolutely.
So today, we're dissecting some fascinating insights from Mark Yusko.
Oh yeah, the CEO of Morgan Creek Capital Management.
He's predicting Bitcoin will hit 6 figures very soon, maybe even this week.
Wild, right.
So let's dive into his analysis and see what we can learn.
Let's do it.
Yusko starts by using this really interesting analogy. He compares Bitcoin's adoption to Thanksgiving dinner invitations.
I love a good analogy.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, play the clip.
Okay, here's Mark.
I tweeted this out the other day. 3 years ago, in 21, we got the email. We're just not even going to have Thanksgiving, so don't bother coming. Now they had Thanksgiving, but we just weren't welcome. 2 years ago, all right, you can come, but you're sitting at the kids' table. Okay. Last year, all right, you can come, but you're sitting with Uncle Ned. Like, I didn't even know I had an Uncle Ned. Right, wedding crashers. This year, oh my God, head of the table, 2 turkey legs for you. Can I get you another glass of champagne? I mean, this is going to be the best Thanksgiving ever. And
It's a pretty clever way to illustrate how Bitcoin's perception has changed so quickly.
Totally. In just a few short years, it's gone from being this fringe idea to a major player on the world stage.
And it's not just retail investors driving this surge.
Right. We're seeing big institutions, hedge funds, even governments starting to dip their toes in the Bitcoin water.
Exactly. That influx of serious money is definitely a factor in its current price action.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's get to the heart of the matter. Why does Yusko think Bitcoin is going to hit $100,000 so soon?
Let's hear it straight from the source.
Here's Mark again.
And I'll stick with what I said 6 months ago, that I thought absolutely no question in my mind we were getting to 6-digit BTC this year in dollars. No question. Why? Well, because fair value was going to be in the low to mid 80s, and we would blow right through that because of animal spirits. And whether we got to 110 or 120 or 150, I don't really know. It just depends how much leverage gets in the system. But this week, I'm fairly certain, it can never be certain, but I'm fairly certain we'll blow right through 100K.
So he highlights a couple of key drivers here, right? Fair value and something he calls animal spirits.
2 powerful forces.
He believes Bitcoin's fair value is somewhere between $80,000 and $85,000 already.
Which is pretty incredible when you think about where it was just a few years ago.
Right, and he thinks that current market momentum, which is being driven by these animal spirits, is likely to push it past that 6-figure mark.
It's that fear of missing out, that FOMO, that can really drive markets, especially in the crypto space.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when it comes to fair value, that's an interesting concept with Bitcoin.
It's not like a traditional stock where you can just look at a price-to-earnings ratio.
Right. It's much more nuanced than that.
There are a lot of different models and methodologies people use.
But the key thing to remember is that fair value, especially for something like Bitcoin, it's not just about the numbers,
Totally. It's driven by perception, too.
Absolutely. Scarcity, utility, future potential.
All those things play a role in how the market values it.
And right now, there's a lot of excitement around Bitcoin's potential.
So Yusko also breaks down the different types of market participants and the impact they each have on the price.
Oh, this is good.
Here's what he has to say.
Let's hear it.
Then we'll get a really big parabolic move, sometime between now and December. And, then it's harder to judge. I mean, we don't have that many cycles to look at, but the cycles are very consistent because humans are going to human. When the price is below fair value, investors, I like to consider myself an investor. I like to buy things below fair value. That's what I do for a living. And so you buy them and you just hold them. Then what happens is the price starts to rise and get closer to fair value. The traders come in. They're like, oh, movement. I need movement. I don't really care about the fair value. I don't really care at all. I just want to trade. And nothing wrong with trading. I stink at it. I never asked me to trade your money. I'm bad at it. And most humans are bad at it, but there are some good traders. There are a few good traders. But then the speculators come in. Well, what's a speculator? Well, speculator is someone who doesn't really care about anything other than someone needs the other side of a sale, right? Oil producers need to sell their production for it. I'm sitting in Tulsa, Oklahoma in a hotel room with my in-laws. And So here they sell the production forward, and the speculator has to take the other side because for every buyer, there has to be a seller. For every seller, there has to be a buyer. So speculators are not evil. They just don't care about what they're buying. They just take the other side of the sale. Well, then as the price really starts to move, this is the problem. That's when the gamblers come in. And the gamblers bring leverage, and leverage tends to accelerate the trend until such time as it ends.
He distinguishes between investors.
Focused on that long-term value proposition.
Then you have your traders.
Capitalizing on those short-term price swings.
Speculators providing liquidity to the market.
And then, of course, you've got the gamblers.
Right, they can really amplify those price swings.
On the upside and the downside, leverage is a powerful tool, but it can be dangerous.
Absolutely.
So understanding how these different players interact is crucial for anyone trying to analyze what's happening with Bitcoin.
It's a complex ecosystem for sure.
It really is. And another thing Yusko brings up is this important point about how Bitcoin's price moves.
It's cyclical, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He emphasizes that these parabolic rises fueled by, all those different market participants we just talked about, investors, traders, speculators, gamblers, they aren't sustainable over the long term.
No asset goes up in a straight line forever.
Nope.
Let's hear what he has to say about those cycles and the inevitability of corrections.
Yeah, play the clip.
And, I love this. Everyone looks at these parabolic charts and like, oh, this is great. This is great. This is going to go on forever. Show me one, Austin. I defy anyone watching this video. Show me one chart that goes like this and then stays flat. You can't do it. They all go up and then they come down. Now, they eventually, like the Bitcoin chart, had this big parabolic move in 2013, and then it crashed 84%. And then it had a big parabolic move in 17, and it crashed 84%. Then it had a big parabolic move in 21, and it crashed 76%. Now, I tweeted this out a long time ago. When you look at that 2013, right, it was a 20-fold move. It looks barely visible on the chart today. And the one from 2017 was really big, right? We went from 10,000 to 20,000 in 8 weeks. No, I'm sorry, 5 weeks. From November 6th to December 18th, we went up $10,000 in 5 weeks, just like that.
It's fascinating how he points out those huge crashes, like 84% after the parabolic moves in 2013 and 2017, and 76% in 2021.
Right, and it really drives home the point that corrections are a part of the process. They happen.
But even with those corrections, the long-term trend has still been upward.
Absolutely, and as Bitcoin matures, as its market cap grows, we might even see the magnitude of those percentage swings, those big drops start to decrease.
Makes sense.
Yeah, think about it. Early on, when Bitcoin was just this small asset, a small amount of investment could lead to huge gains, like astronomical gains.
Right.
But as its value increases and the market becomes more liquid, those dramatic percentage increases, they become less likely, even if the overall price keeps climbing.
And you know what? That actually connects really well to another point that Yusko makes. He argues that the true miracle of Bitcoin wasn't its recent price surge, but its initial rise from fractions of a penny to $1.
That's a powerful way to frame it.
And he's suggesting that future increases even to like $1 million won't be as impressive in terms of, percentage gain.
Let's hear him break that down.
Okay, here's the clip.
Now this move eventually, and then the 21 move looked really big, and then we had the crash. Well, now we're way above the trend. So it's a series of higher highs and higher lows. That's the long-term adoption. 100K to $1 million, it's not that big a move. It's 10x, right? I mean, it's not that it's not a big move, but it's not that big. The miracle of Bitcoin is not that it's going to hit 100K this week. It's not a miracle. It seems like a miracle. And, Dan Morehead just posted the thing yesterday. His original Bitcoin fund is up 1,000x. To go up 1,000x in anything is one of the great investments of all time, period. But 1,000x is a lot different than 10x. 10x, a lot of things go up 10x. I mean, not many, but a lot. And so that $1 million, even though the number sounds big, that move's really not even that impressive. And I think baked in, highly likely, when don't really know. But the miracle of Bitcoin was it went from 0.003 cents to $1. That was the miracle, both in terms of multiple. Like if you were there at the 0.003 cents and you got to $1, now most people would have sold. It would have been long gone, right? Because they made, so many times their money. And there are lots of examples of people bought at 50 cents and sold at 250 and thought they were so smart. But ultimately, each incremental move, and that's why, when people show linear scale charts, I go batshit crazy. It's like long-term charts have to be log scale. They have to be log scale. Because going from 100 to 200, right? That's 100% increase. Going from 200 to 300 is not. So yes, it's 100,000 move, but it's only half as much. And so you have to look at log scale. So again, that's a long answer. Going from 250 to a million, that'll happen like fast.
I think that's a really important point for investors to grasp. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of those early explosive gains, but as an asset matures, those astronomical percentage increases just become less likely, even if the overall value keeps rising substantially.
Right, and he brings up a really interesting point about the difference between linear and logarithmic scales when you're looking at long-term price charts.
Yeah, he's kind of obsessed with that.
But for good reason, people often misinterpret those charts because they're so used to looking at things on a linear scale.
Yeah.
But with an asset like Bitcoin, that can really skew your perspective on its growth.
Right, yeah, so he's saying that using the wrong scale can make those later gains seem smaller, even if they're still huge in absolute terms.
Exactly. It's crucial to look at things through the right lens, especially when you're dealing with an asset as volatile as Bitcoin.
So Yusko doesn't shy away from talking about potential downsides either.
Yeah.
He acknowledges that there could be another Bitcoin bear market in the future.
And that governments and regulations could play a role.
Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, let's listen.
Now, is it likely, I think, that we have the next bear market before that? Yes, right? I actually think this cycle tops, I used to say 150-ish. Now, maybe that's a little higher. Maybe we get to the two handle. But, next fall-ish, I'm guessing October, September timeframe, we will have a bear market. There'll be too much leverage in the system, and humans will human, and we'll have another downdraft. Now, could that be mitigated by this big FOMO? Look, if the U.S. passes the bill, and then every other government around the world says, "Well, shit, if they did it, I got to do it," and then we have a whole bunch of people competing for a very, very scarce resource. Because here's the thing: gold, while provably scarce, isn't absolutely scarce. Right? You can go mine more of it if the price gets high enough. Bitcoin doesn't work that way. There's only so many, and the ones that are lost or stolen, you really can't get them back.
Yeah.
So even though he's bullish on Bitcoin over the long term, he's also realistic about the potential for corrections.
He is. He even suggests that too much leverage in the system could actually be the thing that triggers the next bear market.
And that it could happen as early as next fall.
Yeah, that's a sobering thought.
It is. It's something for all Bitcoin investors to keep in mind. Manage your risk, don't get overextended, and remember that corrections are a natural part of this whole process.
Absolutely. And what's particularly interesting to me is his point about the potential impact of government regulation.
Yeah.
We're already seeing some countries embrace Bitcoin while others are taking a much more cautious approach. How this regulatory landscape evolves will play a huge role in shaping Bitcoin's future.
Totally.
And here's the big question. If governments around the world start competing for Bitcoin as this scarce resource, what will that mean for its price and, maybe even the global balance of power?
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's a question worth thinking about as we watch this whole story unfold. I mean, it's fascinating to think about, right? Like, what if countries start stockpiling Bitcoin like they do with gold?
Yeah, that would definitely have some pretty big implications.
Yeah, for sure. But getting back to Yusko, his insights offer a really valuable perspective on Bitcoin's journey so far. He highlights the key drivers of its price. The importance of understanding those market cycles and the potential impact of government regulation.
It's complex.
It is. It's a complex and evolving landscape. Even if you're a seasoned investor, there's still a lot to learn from his analysis.
Absolutely.
I mean, one thing he really drives home is that Bitcoin is not just some speculative investment.
Right.
It's a technological innovation with the potential to actually reshape the global financial system.
Right.
And that's what sets it apart from just your typical, speculative assets.
Yeah, and that potential is what's drawing in so much attention from all of these different players in the financial world.
Totally. It's gone from being this niche interest to a mainstream asset class, attracting those big institutions, hedge funds, even governments. It's remarkable.
Yeah, the shift in perception, along with Bitcoin's inherent scarcity and growing utility, it suggests that its journey is far from over.
Oh, absolutely. We're still in the early innings.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting how Yusko points out that the real miracle of Bitcoin wasn't that recent price surge,
Mm.
but that initial climb from fractions of a penny to $1. Like, that's the real mind-blowing part of the story.
It is, and it kind of makes you wonder, right? Like, if governments worldwide start competing for that limited supply of Bitcoin, what will that mean for its price?
Yeah, what happens then?
What happens to the global balance of power? It's a question worth pondering as we watch this whole thing play out.
It really is. So that wraps up our deep dive into Mark Yusko's predictions for Bitcoin. We hope you found this exploration valuable. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the Market Chronicles for more insightful deep dives like this one. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the world of finance.
Huge thank you to all our listeners for tuning in to the Market Chronicles. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to hear more deep dives into the latest market trends, be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We'll be back soon with more insights, analysis, and expert perspectives to help you navigate this ever-changing landscape. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Market Chronicles.